Hello everybody, happy Friday night. Welcome to my Zen Den. So happy that you could join me tonight. Happy St. Patrick's Day. If you're into that, I'm feeling a little bit Irish tonight, but not a lot bit Irish. It's just what I am, right? Anyhow, I tonight am playing with a beginning of March. Beginning of March, Stampin' Up! Released, they started a program called Online Exclusives. And there's some really neat products in there, and they will only ever be offered online. Kind of like our kids collection, if you're familiar with the kids collection. But this is, there's a couple of different suites in there. There's a couple of individual stamp sets, and then there's some designer series paper. So what I'm doing tonight is I'm playing with some of the designer series paper. It's called Naturally Guilded. Yes, Naturally Guilded designer series paper. And it's really, really pretty stuff. But you can only get it online. So it is exclusively online. It's never going to be offered in a catalog, but you can absolutely get it from my website. Or if you're local, you can talk to me and I can order it for you. However, I'm going to flip the camera around and I'm going to show you a couple really neat ways to use this designer series paper that you might not have thought of just by looking at it. And we're going to look at the paper itself too. So bear with me while I get my camera set. Wow, there was my feet. It's cold down here. I'm wearing slippers. It has been, if you're not in central Minnesota, let me tell you something, we are having a winter. It's been brutal and yucky, and we had another big snowstorm yesterday, and we're all really, really sick of it. Okay, so this is the Naturally Guilded paper. There's 6 sheets in each pack, so 2 of each sheets, and it's this really pretty foil. So you got 2 sheets of basic white and silver, and it's kind of like a, looks kind of like a woods or a meadow kind of thing. This one is a nice basic white with the copper foiling. I think it's so pretty. And then this one is actually very vanilla with gold. And I've seen some absolutely stellar cards with this paper made with just like this. But tonight we're going to actually color the paper a little bit because I like coloring. So let's get to it. The first set, the first card is going to use the Grassy Grove dies because I thought that would be a lot of fun. So I've got a piece of, it's got some static there. I've got a piece of Starry Sky cardstock, 8.5 by 5.5, scored down the middle at 4 1/4. Just basic stuff right there. And then I've got a piece of the silver Naturally Guilded paper, and this is 3.75 times 5.5 by 5.5. And then this is a piece of basic black, also 3.75 by 5.5. A piece of basic white for on the inside of the card because it's a fairly dark card base. And then a scrap of basic white and a scrap of Calypso coral. And we're going to be using the ink colors of Starry Sky, Daffodil Delight, and Calypso coral. Is that not scream spring to you? So, so pretty. Love it. Okay, so let's grab, I forgot to grab some paper to color on. So let me just find a scrap of paper here. Okay. You want fabric scissors? Yeah. Okay.
I told you. Shh.
Yep. Yep. Go. Yep. My son is creating something and he's got fabric, so he can use my fabric scissors. It's not quite so scary then. Okay. I'm not going to color this first. First, we're going to cut this out. He's got me all fumbled up. Okay. So I'm going to use this really pretty die. This is just, I think this is one of my favorite sets of dies in the catalog. And there's 2 deer dies that'll stand alone, a baby and a mama. I'm just going to use the mama. We're not going to put the baby in there right now. So we're only going to use the dies. And then in a little bit, we'll use the stamp that says, see the good. It's going to be just a thinking of you card. So let's pull out my plates. Look at that brand new plate. I thought you guys deserve to see brand new clear through it. Okay, so we're going to set up our set up our sandwich here. So I've got my plate number 1, plate number 2, and then a plate number 3. I'm going to put my cardstock down, and then I'm going to put this die right down on top of it. And I'm going to put it closer to the top. This is going to create kind of a thicker bottom on the bottom, here. It's going to cut out just a hole in the middle. You'll see what I'm talking about in just a second here. It's really pretty. And then this is actually a void spot. It's going to be cut out. So I'm going to stick that deer right in the middle there. We're going to do all of this in just one pass. And then I'm going to put my second plate number 3 right on top. Make sure it doesn't move. Looks like it's even like that. And so I'm going to, my bottom plate is warped. Okay, so I'm going to run that through my cut and emboss machine. Okay, so bring it back. And this is just like the coolest die set in the world. So there's my mama deer. We'll take that right out of there. And then my die cut is stuck in there, which is just fine. We're gonna fix that. So I'm going to bring in my foam pad. Let's see if we can take that guy out. And I'm going to, you can buy a tip and you can use this without a cut and emboss tool, or without the take your pick tool also, but it does fit inside the take your pick. And you can just roll it right over there and all those little pieces are gonna pop right out. And then if you need to pop any more out, go ahead and use your little skinny end. Make yourself some confetti. I love this die. It is so, so pretty, and it makes it really does make really quick, simple, beautiful cards, especially masculine. I think we think of outdoorsy with masculine, but I mean, so pretty. I love it. Okay, let's get rid of that. Okay, so now what I'm going to do, my plan is to stick those up there, and I'm going to leave that girl right there. Okay, so my plan is to make kind of a sunset on this piece that's in the background here, okay? So I'm going to take a pencil and just kind of mark just a little bit so I know where, there's my pencil, where the floor is. So like right there and right there. You really won't see those. I just want to kind of make sure I know, because I'm going to make sure that my sun stays down here, and I don't want to be too low with my coloring. So don't lose the deer. You guys are helping me, right? Where's the deer? We're gonna open up our inks here. And it's that time of year where I'm getting to see lots of beautiful sunrises as I'm driving to work in the mornings. I love it. It's so fun. So I've been picking out my colors. A little bit of yellow on the bottom, so I've got some Daffodil Delight. And this is just a nice soft coloring. It's not too over the top. And just my advice is to start with a little bit of color. You can always add more. Okay, so we'll leave that with the yellow. I can always come back. I'm gonna take my Calypso Coral. I think sunrises are probably my favorite blending to make. I love blending sunrises. I think they're so much fun and they're so gorgeous. Personally, I'm kind of a night owl, so I don't see a whole lot of sunrises, except for this time of year I see them going to work. But otherwise, I'm a night owl, and I like sunsets too. But I live in the woods, so I don't see a lot of them either. All right, so like I said, super nice and soft, pretty colors. I'm gonna go a little bit darker with that yellow. I'm gonna go back and put a little more yellow in there, just cause I want to, and it's my card. Okay, now the tip when you're coloring on top of a foil like this, you wanna go back behind and clean that foil off. Otherwise it's gonna smudge out onto your hands, okay? So go behind there and clean your foil off. And it's also going to make your silver pop. Oh, look at that. It's going to make your silver pop out a lot more. So close these back up because you know what it's going to happen otherwise. Okay, and I can move that out of the way. So now, is that not this pretty? I love it. If you wanted to go a little darker, you absolutely could, but I don't think I want to. I like the softness of it. So let's assemble our card. I'm going to advise you to use Tombow glue or liquid glue. You've got a little bit of wiggle room then. Just make sure you don't use too much. Go very light. You don't need a ton. Just put some back behind the big chunks of foliage on the tree trunks. Just like this, and then along the edges, but not crazy. I'm barely, this glue is getting down there, but you don't need to go crazy on it. You're gonna make a mess. Less is more. Okay, so we're going to put this down onto here. And this gives you just a little bit of wiggle. See, now I can line that up just perfect. You would think, oh, I talked too soon. And if you have to, guess what? You can come back and trim that off. It's not perfect on the back. Nobody will see. But it is perfect in the front. Is that not gorgeous? I love it. So let's take our little girl here. And I'm only going to put a little bit of glue on the head and on the body. I'm not going to worry about the legs because I'm going to actually tuck those kind of back behind that grass that's sticking up there. There we go. Just like that. Is that not gorgeous? I love this die. I love this die. Ah. Okay, so I do have a piece of, I've got some silver sticking out at the bottom. I'm going to trim that off just because I'm that kind of person and I don't want the silver sticking out. Uh-oh, I'm in the cardstock. I'm making it crooked. There we go. Okay. There, now we got it. Okay, so let's fold and burnish our Starry Sky bone folder. It was put away, guys, right where it's supposed to be. Fancy that, huh? Okay, and so now this is as wide as my card base. And I did that on purpose, just for a little bit of different design. So I'm going to just adhere that straight down. I liked the look of the little bit of Starry Sky. Just like this. Uh-oh, there we go. All right, and I am just adhering it down. A little higher towards the top, but that's okay. I kind of like it. It doesn't have to be centered perfect every single time, right? Okay, so now I am going to use the sentiment, and it's from that Grassy Grove, See the Good. Just a basic, nice sentiment. Basically, it's going to be a note card. So let's stamp that on a piece of basic white, just a little strip, just like that. Close that back up. And I've got my double oval punch, one of my favorites. Just going to punch that out. You know what? I'm going to off-center it just a little bit, I think, like that. Why not? And then I'm going to put some dots on there. You know what? This is not the one I was going to do that with. Let's grab another scrap. I got lots. I don't want it off-centered. Change my mind. Just that fast, I changed my mind. Try it again. There we go. We are going to center it. Because, you know, I want to. Okay. There we go. See the Good. And now I'm going to take this Calypso coral, and I'm hoping that that kind of brings out that coral color in the back. And that's going to be my scalloped part to my double oval. So I'm going to put that right like that. So let's just adhere this right on here, directly onto the coral piece. And then I'm going to grab some dimensionals because everything is better with dimensionals. 2 will do it. And right down at the bottom. Isn't that so pretty? Okay, and I want one more thing. I've got some just basic rhinestone jewels, the most basic of embellishments, right? I'm going to take these little tiny ones, and there's little dots back here. And I thought, how fun to put just a few sparkles back in the background where the dots already are. So we're going to go right there, just like that. So, 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 so pretty. Okay, let's do that. All right, and let's put our inside into our card. I love how much it changes it up just to add a little bit of color back behind there. It's absolutely, it's even better, I bet, in person. That's what I'm thinking. It's so pretty. Okay, card number 2. Card number 2, if you think that was fun, boy, wait till you see this card. I am excited. Okay, so I've got some dies here, die cuts that we're going to use. I've got a piece of the copper foil. And this is, right now is cut at 4 by 5 1/4, but I'm going to be using the deckled rectangle on this. I've got a piece of Rich Razzleberry. That's cut at 8 1/2 by 5, yes, 8 1/2 by 5 1/2, scored in the middle at 4 1/4. A piece of basic white for on the inside. A scrap of white, a decent sized scrap of Rich Razzleberry also. And let's see here what we've got. I am going to be using Starry Sky. And I don't know if you guys remember back a couple weeks ago when I did the Joseph's Coat technique. We're going to be doing that with this. This is the perfect Joseph's Coat technique paper. Okay, so you can use black, but you can also use some beautiful colors. So I'm going to use Starry Sky, and I'm just going to go to town. There's the potential of getting inky with this one. I'm going to try really hard not to, but you've been warned. All right, so you've got your blue on there. Set that aside. We're going to take our paper towel and we're going to wipe off, like I said, we're going to wipe off that foil, that excess. And make sure you get it good and wiped off. And I'm going to tell you a secret. This is going to stay damp for a little bit. So the more you handle it, the more there's the potential of you getting ink on your fingers from this piece of paper. But isn't that stunning? That made me like the happiest person in the world. And I'm telling you that this Starry Sky is the perfect blue with the copper. Okay, just saying. All right, I'm going to close that up for right now. And I'm going to let that sit. While we're letting that sit, I'm going to pull in a couple of things here. I have got the Celebrating You stamp set. This is an awesome, awesome stamp set for like multiple occasions. Happy anniversary, just for you, lots of love. The best is yet to come. Wishing you, and that would go good with the happy anniversary, right? So you got insides and outsides. I'm wishing you a happily ever after. Congrats. Thank you. So proud of you. Happy Easter. Happy Mother's Day. Grateful to celebrate you every day. Welcome, little one. Happy birthday. Happy Father's Day. You are every bit of wonderful. Seriously, one of the best sentiment stamp sets in the catalog, in my opinion. All right, and then we are going to, so I'm going to be making this a wedding card. So wishing you a happily ever after and congrats on the inside. So let's pull in, let's see here, not that piece, my scrap of basic white, and I'm going to stamp in my Starry Sky again. Wishing you a happily ever after. Beautiful. While I've got my ink open, I'm going to pull in my inside, and I'm just going to put congrats right like that. Perfect, simple wedding card, right? So we can set that back aside. That's all the stamping that we're going to do. But we are going to be doing some die cutting. So I've got my stitch from the stitch shapes. I've got one of the circles. That's going to cut that guy out. And then from the, let's see, what is this one? This is from the painted labels dies. So this is the rest of the dies. Another really nice die set. I really like this shape here. So we're going to be using that one, and we're going to be pulling that out in the Rich Razzleberry piece. So let's bring our sandwich back. If I need to rip this, I will. Oh no. Oh no, I can do it. Okay. Build my sandwich. Make sure it stays put. I just moved it. Again, if you need to, you can always, always, always use a Post-it note so these things don't wiggle. Sometimes when your plates get a little warped, it's hard to keep them from wiggling, but we find ways to make it work. Run that through my cut and emboss machine. Bring it back out. My house is staticky tonight. Okay, so I've got my wishing you a happily ever after. And then this guy here, isn't that pretty? Isn't that a pretty die? I love that die. Okay, stick that aside, stick that aside. And now I've got my largest deckled rectangle. Let's get all that stuff off. For real, could we have any more static electricity? I'm going to put this guy, isn't it pretty? I'm going to put that guy on, and I'm going to cut out this into a deckled rectangle just to make it a little bit more fancy. You could absolutely leave it just plain cut straight edges, and that would be beautiful as well. So, and remember I've told you before to, when you're cutting a solid square piece like that, to put your die and your paper in just so that corner goes in first, instead of making it straight on your straight edge going like this. Make it cantered just a little bit so your corner goes in first. It's going to be easier on your die. It's going to be easier on your plates. It's going to be easier on your machine. It's not going to sound like the world is crashing down around you. Okay, so, oh, that is so pretty. That is just so pretty. Let's assemble our card. All right, fold and burnish our Rich Razzleberry. And I'm going to put this right on like that. And doesn't that just dress it up? Just the perfect little amount. If you wanted to, you could always put a little piece of white behind that and add just a little bit more contrast. Like that. I think that's pretty also, but I am going to do it just like this. I would go not heavy on the adhesive, but make sure it sticks down, because it might have a tendency to curl a little bit because there was a significant amount of ink on that paper. So it is dry. It's not coming off on my hands. Awesome, awesome. Look, have I told you how pretty this is? Love it. Okay, so I'm going to put this right down here. You could center it. You could put it up higher. I just like this bottom corner. Today, my bottom corner, but you know, that is pretty. What part do I want to cover up? I think we're going to go like that. That's the way we're going to go. Okay, I am going to adhere this die cut down directly to the paper, like that, and then I'm going to bump this up with some dimensionals. So let's find my dimensionals here. Foil really is the best Joseph coat medium I think that there is. I think it might beat clear embossing powder. It is so pretty. Okay, so there's that. Let's put this on the inside. Just like that. And if you wanted to stamp a beautiful flower on the bottom corner, that would be awesome. I'm just going to leave it like that. And then I'm going to pull out, I've got my brushed metallic adhesive back dots. I'm going to put just one copper dot right down there, just to tie that copper all together. So that is card number 2. Isn't that, oh my gosh, so pretty. So pretty. I love them. So here are my 2 cards using the Naturally Gilded Designer Series paper. So many different ways that you can use this paper. And again, it is online exclusive, so you won't find it in a catalog, but it is still in stock, so you can get it right now. Before I flip the camera around, I do want to remind you that at the end of the month, or at the end of April, I should say, we're going to be having a new catalog, which means these in colors from 2 years ago will be retiring. So if you use these colors a lot, if you've got the ink pads but you don't have the ink refills, I would suggest, making sure you get the ink refills for sure. If you don't have the stamp pads and you like them, get those. The blends, they sell out before almost every year. The cardstock, the ink pads, the ink refills, the blends, they all sell out before the catalog retires. It happens every year. So if you at all like polished pink, evening evergreen, pale papaya, fresh freesia, and soft succulent, I would suggest stocking up on these colors, especially your ink refills and your cardstock. Those 2 things to make sure that you do not run out if those are some of your favorite colors. Okay, that was my public service announcement for tonight. Let me flip the camera around and say goodbye. Whew. Almost lost it. That would have been bad. Thanks, Joyce. They were fun. Seriously, I don't know how this is. It's so pretty. It's so pretty. It's so different looking than the actual, I mean, this is what it started out with, right? Which is pretty. That's pretty. But this is so cool. I like it when I like what I make. Anyhow, I hope you have a great weekend, and I hope you get some crafting in. If you need anything, please feel free to reach out. Otherwise, I will see you again back here next Friday night. Thanks. Bye-bye.